Hey there, this is Candace from The Hot Bohemian. Today I wanted to do a video showing everyone my bench. So I began silversmithing in July of 2018, so I have not been silversmithing for that long. But I fell in love with the process and wanted to create my own space where I can make sterling silver pieces. So I went out and found a bench. So this is this ends up bench. I actually got this from my mother-in-law. I actually found one on Facebook Marketplace for 40 bucks. But I emailed my mother-in-law first, and she had one, and she gave it to me for free. So this is actually a pretty sturdy bench that was given to me for free. But if you would, if you're looking to start a studio and we're looking for a bench, I would look on Facebook Marketplace, local thrift stores. So it's sturdy. It takes a beating with my hammer. Everything about it is really convenient. There's 3 drawers right here also. So you don't have to go out and spend $400 on a expensive jeweler bench when you can just find a nice wooden desk. And it came with the chair. So not complaining here. I'm a first time newbie metalsmith, so I'm not complaining about it. Love it. So it actually came with the light. You can see there's like a light switch. And then it came with this top piece, the drawers, and the chair. So, like I said, no complaints here. So I wanted to just quickly go through what should a beginner jeweler have on their bench. What are some important pieces? As I've been continuing silversmithing, I've added more and more, items or accessories to my bench. But I'll go through the basics and tell you where I got them and how much each piece costs. So I'm going to start here at this top. What I have here, I'm going to start just from the left and go to the right. So I have a couple books. The first one is Indian jewelry making. I'm into the bohemian style, the turquoise styles with the patterns stamped in them. So this book, I found it on eBay for less than $20. That is Indian Jewelry Making by Oscar T. Branson. And another one I have not looked quite into. I've browsed through it a little bit, but this is The Complete Metalsmith. It's a lot of text, a lot of different techniques, which is a good resource to have. Again, I think I got this on eBay for under $20. So these are 2 books that I keep up here just in case I need a reference. This next piece right here is it's actually for makeup, and I got it on eBay for $16. It holds all my cabochons, and if we look here, turquoise is my favorite, but I have the first 2 with turquoise. I have some crazy lace agate, some dendritic opals. I have my moonstones and kyanites in here. Different shapes, different sizes. So you wanna, if you plan on making, sterling silver or gold-filled jewelry, you wanna make sure you have a nice stash of these cabochons. I got some white turquoise, some evil eye, Shiva agate, labradorite, and a couple of random cabochons. So it's good to have a nice collection. So this piece right here, I actually have a bracelet sitting in there drying now. This is probably one of my most expensive pieces that I purchased at Rio Grande when I first began metalsmithing. This is a annealing pan, and it comes with the pumice stone, which is heat reflectant. And here, this is a separate piece, but this is a Vermiculite soldering block. I've had it for a very long time. Done a lot of soldering on it. You can see a couple divots taken out of it on one side, but for the most part it's held up. There's no asbestos in this one, even though it kind of mentions it in its name. There's no asbestos. This pan is nice. It, you know, you don't have to have any kind of special layer down when you solder or whatnot. This is the 12-inch version. This pan plus the pumice is $50 from Rio Grande. If we look here next, I bought this awesome bit holder. This was a purchase from Amazon. So if you know, search drill bit holder, this would come up. This is a convenient way, easy access to grab my, these pieces right here are for sanding my metal. These are from Rio. I forgot exactly what they're called. These right here are my silicone discs. I think this is a medium grit. These are all from Rio. And then you have your, to make designs in your metal, you get these chasing tools. And so there's different patterns on the tips of them. Lines, some of them have, this is a flower. And then up at the top, I just have some more stamping pieces. I have a moon, I think there's an ohm. This wooden piece was $20, but well worth it if you're, you know, having all your drill bits and stamping tools conveniently located right in front of you. This was something I purchased later on in my silversmithing career. You need to have a pickle. This is a Rio pickle. I'm not sure how much this one cost. I would say under 20, but this is for when you, after you anneal a piece and you have, you know, some fire scale, this is what's going to remove any of that. This has lasted me quite a while. I think the line is here. I mean, I've had it for at least 6 months. Next, butane, which goes with my micro torch. Harbor Freight, 15 bucks. You can get this at any gas station or pharmacy store like a CVS or Rite Aid for 6 bucks. Next is my handy Flux. This is what's going to essentially make your solder flow on your pieces. So you want to pick some of this up. This was from Rio. I would say under $10. If you are creating pieces that have accents, sterling silver accents, or any type of impressions, stamping, if you want to blacken it and make it darker than the sterling, this is what I use. I've had the most success with it. It's called Jack's Silver Blackener. This is one of those items on Rio that ship separately. So keep that in mind if you're ordering a large amount. This is going to ship differently than the rest of your products. I don't think they charge me different shipping or a higher shipping fee, but this is essentially an acid. So it's something that you have to use, you know, a respirator with and be very careful. Works perfectly. I'd buy that again. When I saw my metal, I use Rio Burlife. This was about 8 bucks. It's definitely worth it. It lubricates your saw and makes the cutting go a lot easier. So this fun piece, my husband had bought me this, and I just keep all my spare metal pieces in there. So that's kind of, and then my granules, my silver recycled balls, kind of that's what I use that for, but just a little container I use for spare pieces and scraps. This is my main torch. So like I said, I'm a beginner. I stole this from my husband. Sorry, honey. But it's a benzomatic. I don't think it's propane. But no, it is. Yes. Sorry. It is a propane torch. The most expensive piece is actually this handle, this trigger. It's about $40. The canisters are the yellow pieces. The refills are about $11. So you can purchase that at Home Depot. I like that for larger surface areas of soldering. I found that my micro torch would not flow heavy duty areas, like where I was, you know, attaching some granules with the bezel wire. That just wasn't doing the job. It wasn't getting hot enough, so that benzomatic really did the job. All right, so coming down to the bottom part, what's cool about this, I'm pulling back my chair. What's cool about this is the back part is corkboard, and I kind of decorated it with something a little nicer than the beat up cork. And so then I can put push pins in and then hang some supplies. So I will quickly go through what I have hanging up here. What is pretty convenient is a ring size chart, and it tells you the sizes, the inside diameter, and then the inside circumference, and then you can calculate the size of a bunch of different rings, and that is convenient when you are making rings. The next two are my hammers. I have a more expensive hammer here to the left. This is my Fritz Maker. This is a planishing hammer, and it has rounded edges. It's not going to mark up your wire. I use this for creating flat spots on my wire if I am creating like bangles and I want the end of the bangle to be flat. This works. It's nice. It's heavy on the top. It was around $38, so this was definitely a more expensive hammer. But then here I have a cheap one I got from Joann Fabrics or Michael's, one of the two. I think $16. They call this a chasing hammer. I definitely just use this, the rounded part, the peen head here, when I want to create that texture. And then this part right here is not used much, but definitely the round head is. I have a pair of household scissors, and I have shears here that I actually just bought on Amazon. These cut up to 20 gauge wire. So these are nice, you know, when you solder out a piece with bezel wire and then you just want to trim the wire off instead of having to saw it. This is a lifesaver. This is alligator tape. And what you do is it's almost like a gauze. You wrap it around your fingers, and when you're filing your metal with your Dremel or your Flux shaft, the metal gets so hot it burns your fingers. This saves you. I'm so glad I bought this. I should have bought it sooner than I did. So this is something you would need. I have some regular blue tape, my safety glasses, and a ring sizer. Ring sizer was from eBay, $5 or $6. Here in the corner, I have my cheapy little crock pot. This was something that came with a big crock pot. I think I got it at Aldi or Walmart, one of the two. When you're looking for a pickle pot, you want to make sure that the top is plastic. Anything with any kind of metal on it is going to ruin your pickle, and any piece of sterling you put in there is going to have a copper tone to it. So you want to make sure it's all plastic. This one's really small and there's no settings. It just kind of turns on and boils while I work. I have some distilled water here. This is for after I anneal a piece, I quench it. I have some random sandpaper. This piece right here was bought at Harbor Freight, and it is a dapping set. I'm going to be honest, I have never used the dapping block, but I do use these pieces right here when I want to create textures to my pieces. I also use this if my bezel needs to be kind of shaped out a little bit for the cabochon to fit in. You need a nice sturdy bench block. This one right here, funny enough, my family owns a metallurgical laboratory. My father was able to cut this out for me, but this guy is super heavy. But you want a nice steel block for you to work off of. So then the types of tools I have, there are plenty. You can buy so many different tools. But what I use quite frequently are cutters. These were from Joann. I have pliers, and you want to make sure your pliers are smooth on the inside so they don't mar up your metal too much. I am finding that these do mar my metal, so I bought a pair, nope, these are crimpers. I bought a pair of Nylon Jaw Pliers, which are a little thick when I'm trying to bend wire, but they work. The rest of these really aren't. This is more for other jewelry making purposes, the round nose and this. But I have Sharpies. Those are good to have when you're marking your metal. And I have in here some saw blades. Different, various sizes for various metal thicknesses. All right. And coming to my rotating piece right here. This was a makeup display that I purchased at TJ Maxx, I believe. Shout out to Metalsmith Society. You can follow them on Instagram. They have a lot of awesome tips and tricks, but this is one of their stickers I purchased. So tons of tools. I'll just quickly go through them. This is a bending bracelet bar. Normally I use that for stamping. I have a bench knife right here. This is actually a new piece. I haven't used that yet. This right here is for when you solder and you want to hold a ring in place while you solder down on it. I bought it thinking I would use it more than I do, so I'm not going to comment on the effectiveness of it. I have a paintbrush, and this one is what I use to paint that Jack's blackener on. So then I have here needle files. Different sizes. These I found at Harbor Freight, maybe for six bucks or less. They were super cheap. One thing I did purchase, and I wish you should purchase this early too if you're looking to get into silversmithing, is a bezel mandrel. This has a smaller diameter here up at the top, so if you're making small rings or bezels, this is going to help you get the shape you're looking for. I have a bezel pusher. You can get these online, Amazon, eBay, a couple bucks. These are the tools that I use most often when I am creating a bezel, which is a bezel rocker and a burnisher, and then a clamp. So these three tools are key. This is what I use. It gets the job done. Here is, if I hold out my hands, I have some examples of some rings I made. So all three of those tools were useful when pushing down the bezel wire. Next are my tongs. You want to use copper tongs when you are using a pickle, and that is because anything else is going to turn the pickle sour, and it'll make your metal have a tint of color. I use just regular tweezers to place solder when I am soldering. And I have another set. I don't really use these that often, hence the good condition they are in. Okay. Next in my little rotating container is some soldering picks. These are awesome. You definitely want to get some of these. And then I have soldering brushes. These are all from Rio. And then this fun punch is a spring-loaded like divot punch. So then if you want to put a mark in metal, you just hold it down. Oh, and it's spring-loaded, but put a little mark. Wait, yeah, I put a little divot in my bench graph thing. By the way, I got this graph thing from a teacher friend who was throwing it away, so no complaints. If I get it a little marred up, I am not mad. You want a millimeter gauge device here to measure your lengths of rings when you're making them. This was from eBay, like a couple bucks. I have a butter knife in here, and that is about it from my rotating tool. I know there's a lot of things to go through. You don't necessarily need all of these things to start, but the majority of them you're gonna want to get if you're gonna get more serious into metalsmithing. Quickly, I want to go over to this part of my bench. This is where I have my jeweler saw. This was from, I believe, eBay for under 20. I have my bench pin. You definitely need one of these. This is to stabilize your piece of metal when you're cutting. And then I have a Dremel. My husband bought me this. I wasn't ready for a flex shaft because I know there's a pedal that you have to use with it, so this is what I'm using. And then I bought a holder here for it. And that actually, funny, my husband had this flex shaft. Somebody, I think his brother bought it for him for Christmas a really long time ago. And so he gave it to me, and it's a lot more convenient to hold with this shaft right here than to hold this big clunky piece. Here's the size comparison. So it's easier to hold this to work with the metal than to hold this. Once I get, you know, more into the metalsmithing, more professional with it, I might consider a flex shaft. But this is about $25, the Dremel about $50, so it's a lot cheaper than what you would pay for a flex shaft. Now, a fun way to organize, I'm all about organization, is this is where I store all my metal. So I have my bezel strips in here, I have my soldering wire, I have you know, the metal, my thicker gauge wire to make rings. So what I did was I had a binder, and then I found these zipper pieces on Amazon, and it's just a binder insert that you zip, which is cool because your pieces won't fall out. So what I have here is my bezel wire, or I'm sorry, my solder wire. I have medium and hard, and this is going to be where I keep my bezel. So I have a step bezel, and then I have various sizes of my bezel wire. This one right here is my heaviest. This is where all my thick gauge wire is located. And then this one I put my decorative wire, so my beaded wire, my twisted wire, all from Rio. So far Rio's been the best price point, quality, shipping, so I'll continue to shop there. The last page is my gold filled, so I'm a beginner with gold filled, so I don't have much. So, little tip to get organized, and so I keep that. I have more crafty stuff. So quickly, let's go through my drawers. I have Pro cleaning polish pads. These are amazing. Once you're done with your piece, you can polish it up with this. It works wonders. I have a regular paint hammer. I have a nylon hammer for when I am making my rings. People use rawhide. Rawhide was more expensive. This does have a Proposition 65 warning on it. So I don't know if you're conscious about that. I mean, I usually am, but I'm wearing a respirator and gloves. But this works just fine. Doesn't mar your metal up. Cheap, under $6. I have another paint hammer that I use. The biggie is the ring mandrel. This is a nice heavy stainless steel. You want to get something that is stainless, that's not going to mark your metal up, and it's heavy duty. And so I also have, I keep my sheet metal in here, but a various amount of saw blades. So that is in my first drawer. Second drawer, I got my kids' gloves. This is to keep me protected from the flux and from other different hazardous materials I might use. I'm not so sure about these yet. These are not a priority to buy. Sunshine buffs. They're okay. I prefer just the hand method. more alligator tape. And lastly, in my very large bottom drawer, this is my favorite. This is cool. I have this polishing paper, which is a high grit, almost like a wet dry paper, and it's flexible. Perfect for getting out scratches and polishing up your pieces. I have different various sandpaper grits down here. I try not to, I mean, I use them not often because I use my sanding bits from Rio in my Dremel case. So what this fun piece is I decided to start making bangles, and Rio had this frets wooden mandrel. And so there are different mandrels that you can get. I chose to get a wooden one, but it is so pretty. I'm like, I feel bad using it because I don't want to scratch it all up. So it's big. You don't realize it's going to be this big, but it's a very large, I would say more than, here's a ruler, larger than 12 inches. So it is a very large piece. And I use this to make my bangles, and I bought the oval. Oval is a more natural size and shape of a wrist, and I feel like when my bangles are oval like this, they're not going to fall off your wrist as much. So that is my bench. Lot going on. Lots of different tools. So if you have any questions, oh, there's a garbage. Oh, sorry, my respirator from Amazon, 3M, size small. I have to order special because I have very tiny face. So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and you can ask me, or if you want it to be more private, you can email me at thehotbohemian@gmail.com. But thank you so much for, going through this video. I know it's a long one, but hopefully it helps for all you newbie metalsmithers.